There we go. All right, a little bit of a later one. It's 10:13 p.m. on this December 29th Sunday night, and not a lot of gyms are open. But I will tell you this, there is one gym which fails to disappoint. Fails to disappoint for being open anytime. Now, some of them are much scrappier than others because it's kind of it's like a guy-by-guy franchise sort of thing. So it's not like every gym is like has to have a corporate set of everything. Like every Planet Fitness has the same stuff, and every like LA Fitness, I would assume, is like stocked with a lot of the same things. I've never been to one of those gyms, but the anytimes can kind of vary. I've been to some really crazy badass anytimes. There's this one kind of on the outskirts. It's like 2 hours away from me. I was on like kind of a camping style trip. So I went to like this random anytime, and it was sick. They had this awesome back room. I think it was one of the later bulking videos. There was a chest day I did over there. Or there's a few days, but the chest day in particular was the craziest because the gym had this back heavy room, dumbbells to 150, power racks, everything else you could want. It was just really freaking cool. So, luck of the draw. But for the most part, the anytimes are kind of hole-in-the-wall gyms. Like, a little smaller. They got some hammer strength stuff. They got some racks. They got Smith machines. They've got cables. They got dumbbells. They really are fully stocked. So, I don't want to... I'm not trying to dog at any other gym specifically, but for a long time, I kind of feel like in my mind, Planet Fitness was what came to mind as like, okay, which gym membership should I get if I want to have a gym open when I travel? Because if you pay the extra $20 a month or something, or I think the extra like 10, or there's like a fee, whatever, you get to go to any Planet, anywhere. You just scan your thing and you're good. But the problem is, they're not always open, The anytime is way better because they're you get a little key card, or you can put an Apple thing in your wallet, and you can just scan in to get in like that. So that's the plan for tonight. And any time that any other gym is shut down, that's usually where I go. Or I would get a home gym cleaned up at my parents' house and just lift down there. That's kind of that's on my to-do list, as well as like 8 different Amazon returns. I got a bunch of camera lenses that I did not end up using or liking, so I gotta send all those back. But plan for tonight's arm day, triceps and biceps obliteration, with just a touch of side delts for kicks to see them a little bit pumped up during the pose down, and that's kind of the gist of it. So I'm not sure if I want to do a supersetted style of like tricep set immediately into a bicep set. Part of me feels like I might want to, because when I'm dieted down, I've only had 100 grams of carbs so far today. The pump is a bit fleeting. So, let's say I completely thrash triceps. In the time that it takes to finish bis, my tricep pump could be like halfway gone by the time the pose down starts, which not cool for me. You know what I'm saying? So, we'll just have to see. But either way, whether I end up doing all triceps first or all biceps, that won't really change what the lift is composed of. It would just change like the actual machines that get used in what order. But definitely some rope extensions, some overhead tricep cable work, and then maybe some single arm underhanded stuff. We'll just have to see for tries. But either way, I want to hit a regular style push down, some kind of stretch based overhead something or other, and then I guess that's really it. And then one more little something in the middle. And with curls, I got an even easier set of checklists, because I just want to make sure that whatever set of curls I do feels good. I don't think there's anything magic about doing a set of like preachers versus a set of like some kind of just regular standing alternating curl. But depending on just how I feel, one or the other might feel way better. Like, I'm kind of imagining myself doing some dumbbell preacher curls today. So that's, for whatever reason, that's just in my mind. So if I think that'll feel good, and then I start it and I like the way it feels, I'll bust out a couple sets of those. And I'm even just thinking about it now, I think I like the idea of doing some preacher dumbbells, because I'll be able to give myself some self-assistance on a couple of reps toward the end. Yeah, I think I'm starting to get onto something. And then I'll just throw in some side laterals, maybe some front raises, or some face pulls, I mean, for some side and rear delt activation. But not the most complicated lifts in the world. And I was feeling pretty sleepy. What the fuck was that? Well, whatever. I was feeling pretty sleepy earlier because this morning I went extra crazy and did an hour and a half of cardio. Or it was more like at noon. So it was 45 minutes on like this seated sort of like half seated bike, half elliptical kind of thing. That actually ended up feeling pretty cool. I've been liking that. So I did 45 minutes there, 15, or no, I did 30 minutes on the treadmill, and then I finished with another 15 of the seated bike. So that's definitely a little tip that I didn't think of before. If doing 30 minutes of cardio feels kind of monotonous and boring and like a chore, then just change it up, man. I mean, do 10 minutes on the bike, 10 minutes on the treadmill, and then maybe like 10 minutes on an elliptical. 10 minutes on a cardio, on a piece of cardio equipment, that goes by pretty quick. It's once you get into that like 15, 20, 25, that's when it starts to feel long. So if you change it up, it's been working well enough for me. But what I consider a lot of cardio might be a little bit different than what someone who's not so acquainted with the cardio equipment might feel. So if switching it up every 10 minutes helps you, I say go for it. But nothing else to discuss. How about we just get in there and get this arm day started? Hopefully I'll be home before midnight. Let's keep it classic here and start with some 5 reps alternating single arm pushdowns. One side, other side, one side, other side, until they're pretty much fully cooked. And I think I know exactly how I want to go about it. I'm thinking 3 sets of tries, 3 sets of buys, 2 sets of tries, 2 sets of buys, 1 set of tries, 1 set of buys, and then a superset at the end. Because that adds up total to exactly 7 working sets per muscle group, which for me has kind of been my sweet spot. So if historically I know 7 is about right, then it's just kind of a fun way to do it. Because it's like I get to build up the pump of both arms or both muscle groups at once, kind of at like an increasing rate. But sometimes I don't like supersetting them because I like the idea of completely wrecking one muscle before moving on to the next. So I think that this sort of 3 and 3, 2 and 2, 1 and 1 sort of approach is a nice medium, but there's nothing magically special about it. I'm still doing the same amount of working sets for the lift as I would if I did all tries and then all buys. It's just a little bit of a different way to go about it. And sometimes I think that's all you need to do to spice up your training, make it more interesting. Because if you feel like your lifts are boring, like when guys say, "Oh, dude, I'm getting real bored of my workout split right now," it's like, I don't think it's the split's fault, man. If you're doing the exact same lifts every day or every like muscle day, then yeah, I could definitely see it getting a little bit repetitive. So, don't be afraid to change it up. If you're doing back and buys, do like a back movement and then immediately superset it with a bicep movement, one lift, and then go back to your normal, like all back, all buys, like, just keep it interesting. As long as you do your working sets at a reasonable rate, you still did the workout. Don't be afraid to try new shit like that. But right side first. No. 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 Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh. I think one more like that, maybe two. Then let's find some kind of bicep movement. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let's do one more just like that with the self-assistance. And then I'm not sure what kind of curl I want to start with. Let me think about it for a little. Yeah. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Actually, let's probably camp out right here. I think some cable curls are just about exactly what I'm looking for. So I don't mind if these are a little bit on the nastier side of things, but for this set, I basically just want to do heavy, not exactly V-bar. What would you call this? Just bent bar curls, and then go from there. A couple arm days ago, this was the only movement I did, and it's got everything. A really hard squeeze, a good stretch, and it's basically feels like my biceps are getting loaded evenly throughout the whole movement, which might seem kind of like, oh, well, obviously you're holding weight, they're going to be loaded the whole time. I mean, not exactly. Like when you do a easy bar or a dumbbell preacher curl, it's heaviest at the bottom, right? When your arm has the weight furthest away from your elbow, that point of rotation. And then when you get to the top, most of that weight is just being supported by your bones. So it's easier to hold it at the top, right? Nobody rests in like a weighted preacher down here. No, you take a rest up here when you can breathe. But with this set, it's basically just kind of equally hard throughout the whole thing. So it's a very like consistent buildup of fatigue if you catch what I'm kind of putting down there. And some Bring Me the Horizon won't hurt either. Oh my God. A few more. One more that same weight, but the one after that, I'm going to have to drop it a little bit, I think. Oh my God. Okay. Oh, goodness. Let's drop that by 20 for the next one. These are nice, though. It's hard to beat something just straight up heavy. One more. Okay. Holy crap. Yeah, that was good. Next movement. Don't even have to switch handles. I think some overhead extensions with this one will be freaking perfect. So let's just get this bench out of the way, make it happen. So with these reps, especially given that I already have a bit of a tricep pump, what I really want to make sure I do is, like, imagine I'm facing the right way. When I get to this stretch position, I want to basically completely relax my arms to the point where they just bend as much as they're going to bend. Like, the tension's completely off my triceps. I just let them completely stretch out and then pump out another rep and try to ride the negative slowly and sort of feel it. And that's, it's easier said than done. You know, it's always like, you got to control the negative, no swinging the weight around. But it's kind of like once you get it kind of situation. Because you're going to watch me do some nasty sets of like straight bar pushdowns where I'm just pumping out reps and I'm definitely feeling it. But with slower controlled sets, like one of these, or like with a rope extension, there's this certain like accrual of fatigue that you just start to feel as you slowly enter that stretch position. And much easier said than done. But if it clicks for you, then that's where you'll start to see the value of these slow controlled sets, which this one will be. No. No. Oh. Okay. Oh, goodness. One more. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's curl something. I'm not sure I want to do dumbbell preachers though, like I thought. Give me a second to decide. Let's just do some single arm curls here. Right side first, then the left side, with some self-assistance. It's exactly what I'm looking for. One more just like that. Holy crap. Okay. Let's pick a movement to do a superset on, I think. Yeah, that'll be good. So I've got a plan. Push downs with an extra 25-pound plate on the side of the stack. Supersetted with some rope curls. So, 10-ish reps here, 10 reps here. Maybe drop it to 8, drop it to 8, 6, 6, 5, 5. Until my arms are completely inflated with blood. That is the plan. Oh my God. All right. Let's pose down. Arms complete, no shoulders. There we go. All right. That was a really good freaking arm workout. Like just sitting here right now, I can feel that my arms are extra full of blood, definitely compared to normal, which dieting to this degree is starting to feel a bit less frequent. But luckily enough, today was a rather inflated pump, which honestly I'm kind of surprised by. I mean, I did extra cardio, didn't eat any extra food, and yet I feel extra pumped. So lucky me. But let's just run through some classics here. But even just standing up, I'm starting to feel like a total meatball. Oh my goodness. So obviously no Kevin Levrone level yet, but that's certainly some chunks of meat. Mm. Mm. Oh, oh my goodness. So we got all that and then a classic. Oof. Yeah, we are getting somewhere. But for you, we get to get back to the car, have a little bit of a post lift discussion. For me, not getting off so easily. No, because I've still got 30 minutes of cardio. So I'm going to go get that going. And then you just enjoy a nice little time skip to the camp ski. There we go. That was a good one. So it's been approximately 30 minutes on the seated bike. I am now ready to go to bed. So final meal of the night is just going to be about 6 ounces of cubed top round steak that I've got sitting in like a 5-pound, what would the word be? Maybe pile that's in my fridge from a whole bunch that I kind of cut up and slow cooked in the sous vide. 4 hours at 128.5 with a variety of garlic, onion, salt, pepper, a little bit of barbecue sort of seasoning and whatnot. And that's the way to do it. And it really is. Like, I'm not one to meal prep per se. Like, I don't have meals stacked up in my fridge or anything like that. But it does make it much easier to have at least the basics in bulk. So what am I eating the most of right now? Protein. That's basically, I mean, it's half of my calorie intake is all just straight protein. So if every time I want to eat something I need to cook either like a half pound of ground beef or turkey or whatever, then it kind of becomes a bit of a chore, you know? Whereas if I've already got 5 pounds of ground beef sitting in a bowl waiting for me, all I got to do is scoop out as much as I need, right? Weigh it out in the scale. Boom, 8 ounces. Perfect. So that's where my the biggest extent of my meal preps has really just been the protein. Has really been just making sure I've got enough protein on hand. So I'm probably going to be through all of my cubed steak within the next day or two. And I've got 5 pounds of that green, ground lean turkey waiting to be cooked as well. So that's just going to be as simple as empty out all 5 pounds into a pot, low, give it a couple stirs every so often, and then once it's fully cooked, strain off the fat. And one thing every time I talk about doing like the lid method where you flip the whole thing upside down and give it a shake, I am aware it is easier using the strainer, but the strainers that I have, they're a little coarse. They're not so fine. So sometimes they end up losing little chunks of the, like the ground beef, or I would presume the ground turkey as well. So it just doesn't work at least as nicely as I would want. I need to get a different strainer. But one thing that I have been doing, which I see you guys talk about a lot, is once I finish straining off most of the fat, I fold over like 3 or 4 layers worth of paper towels onto the bottom of the big kind of salad bowl that I end up using, and then I cover that with I pour the rest of the ground beef or turkey into it, and then with another 2 or 3 layers of paper towels give it a hard squish just to kind of suck off any little bits of fats. And every time I talk about that, I get a reasonable amount of comments. Sam, why would you strain off the fat? The tallow is where all the nutrients are in the ground beef, man. What are you doing? Look, man, I've only got so many grams of fat that I can eat so far right now. Or, every day. I'm at 40. I try not to go over. Sometimes I do, and it's not the end of the world, but I'm aiming for 40. And if I had like a really fatty cut of steak, like if I had a big ribeye that was a bit on the soft side of things, that could be all my fat intake right then in one meal. So it's not a question of like the quality of the fat or like the micronutrient density of the different oils or whatever else. Like, that's not exactly the problem here. The problem is simply it's too many calories. It just doesn't fit in the schedule. It doesn't fit in my sort of daily allotment. So all my protein now is lean beef, ground turkey. I got a bunch of really like natural deli turkey, and I can tell it, like, eating the scrappy turkey, like the Oscar Mayer whatever, makes my stomach kind of feel upset. I like so now every time I get the deli turkey, I try to get like the most organic one I can like get my hands on. The best bet is just going to Costco and getting like a big 5-pound like tin, or not tin, but like 5-pound like vacuum sealed turkey breast straight off the bird. No post processing apart from cooking, and that's really good because it's just straight meat. Low fat, no nothing. But all the protein sources are coming from lean spots, man. I mean, I've got I don't have cartons of eggs right now. All I have is egg white. Well, I guess not the, what's the word? Carton of eggs? But you'd also say carton of milk, wouldn't you? Well, I've just got the egg white cartons. So, there's no yolks going on right now, because it's little things like that. Those, even just 5 calories or 5 grams of fat per meal extra, that's going to add up, right? Let's say I'm eating 5 times a day. I'm really eating more like 4, but let's include like random snacks. So let's say I eat 5 times a day, an extra 5 grams of fat in every meal, which you wouldn't even notice. That's just putting like a little bit of extra butter on a piece of toast or like a sandwich or something. Like, you wouldn't even notice the difference. You'd barely be able to taste it. But 5 grams of fat 5 times a day, 25 grams of fat, how many calories is that? That's 225 calories that just got added onto my daily allotment, or my daily intake, like nothing. Like, I didn't even notice. So I really can't stress enough with the calories. You've got to be seriously like nitpicky every single gram of everything, at least if you're dieting down in a fat loss context, because as soon as you go over your calorie deficit, then it's just a matter of fact you are no longer burning body fat, because your body needs to run on a certain amount of energy every day, right? Let's say you're a car, you're driving a certain amount every day, just being alive, and every day you got to burn through 5 gallons of fuel. So if every day you eat 5 gallons of fuel, then you're good. You're going to go back and forth. All the energy that you consumed got burned. You didn't have any extra. You didn't have like a deficit or anything. All the food that you ate got burned off. Now, if every day your gas tank burns 5 gallons, but you fill it up with 5.5 gallons, then every day your gas tank is now increasing by a half gallon, right? Slowly but surely. The same thing is going to happen in reverse. So if you need to run on 2,000 calories every day to stay the same weight, like you look it up, online maintenance calorie calculator, plug in your info, and it says for you to maintain your maintenance calorie level is 2,100 calories, and it should spit out some basic like macro ratios or whatever. So if every day you ate 2,000 calories, then your body has to make up for that 100 calorie deficit by way of fuel that's already in your build. And the thing that's going to get used first is going to be your intramuscular carbs, right? Your glycogen stores. So whenever marathon runners talk about like carbing up before they go, or like the day before like a big race or something, that's what they mean. They're eating a lot of carbohydrates so that all their glycogen stores, their little carb gas tanks throughout their entire body, get filled up, because carbs are your easiest source of energy. And once those are gone and you're depleted and flat, right, low on carbs, then your body is going to have to run on the second most readily available energy source, body fat, right, adipose tissue. So you have to go through a process of burning through most of your excess internal carbs, your glycogen, and then stay in a calorie deficit long enough that you start to burn into some of your body fat. So if you're not consistent with it, then you're just going to end up like burning through some of your glycogen, refilling it with like a cheat day, and then you never actually end up losing any body fat. Like when I talk about dieting, there's an unfortunate stage in the beginning where you're basically fat and flat. And what I mean by that is, like in my first 2 weeks of dieting down from this last bulking phase, I did not start to look better and leaner. I just started to look smaller and flatter instantly, because that's the time period where I'm not burning through any fat. All I'm doing is burning through all my intramuscular glycogen, like all my sugar stores. So that doesn't make me look any leaner. It physically just makes my muscles smaller, because that's what a lot of your sort of myofibrillar, fibrillar, whatever kind of volume is full of, just sugar water. And once that gets depleted to a low enough level, then that's when you really get into the body fat burning stage of things. But what I'm trying to get at is you have to be consistent in a deficit for a few weeks straight, no cheating, before you can even get to that stage, you know? Like when guys talk about, if you ever hear somebody say like, oh, well, you don't start burning body fat in the first 15 minutes of cardio. You have to get past that first 15-minute mark. That's stupid. That is silly. I don't know where that even came from. That's random jargon. But in a more longer form context, you really don't start burning body fat in a calorie deficit for at least as long as it takes for you to basically flatten out and deplete your glycogen stores, you know? Because let's say tonight I just let the floodgates open. I ate 500 grams of carbs of, like, I say, oh, I'm gonna have 5 packs of ramen. I'm gonna stop at the gas station, get 3 packs of fruit snacks. I'm gonna eat a bunch of cereal, whatever. Let's say, you know, alternate universe, that's what happened tonight. Then tomorrow, I'm gonna wake up probably feeling kind of weird because I just gained probably like 6 pounds of carbs and water. But tomorrow, I'm gonna now basically be pretty full of carbs. Like all my little sugar stores throughout my entire body will now be full because I just ate a crazy amount of food, crazy amount of carbs specifically. So if tomorrow I said, okay, I gotta lock back in, I'm getting back on my deficit, and I only eat 2,000 calories, I really don't think I would have burned any body fat that day. All I would be doing is burning through all those excess carbs that I just stored up across my build, because I just ate a ton of them yesterday and basically filled up that first sort of storage cell. So it's almost like you've got your mainline power to your house, which is all the food that you eat, and then you've got 2 backup generators. That first backup generator is really easy to turn on. You just flip a switch. Let's say it's like a battery. So as soon as your house stops getting enough power, which is you eating less food than you burn per day, then you're going to flip onto that little battery bank in the basement. That's your carbs. And once that runs out, that's when you really start using that second generator, that body fat storage, and start burning through there. So that's usually kind of my thought process with it. And it might be a little hard to explain or hard to get just by me like saying it like that. I really need like some fancy infographics like right in here. But that's usually how I think about it. So if you're thinking about, okay, I want to start dieting down, then you have to have a good grasp of like, okay, I'm not gonna see the results that I'm working for like minimum 4 weeks. Because at first I'm just gonna feel smaller, I'm gonna feel weaker, I might not feel as strong in the gym. Oh man, dieting sucks. Screw it, I don't even look any leaner. It's like, yeah, you don't look any leaner because you're not leaner yet, because that's the hard part. That's the barrier to entry of anybody who wants to get into dieting, because the beginning really is the hardest part. It kind of sucks because it's all work and no reward. But once you get past that stage into what I would call phase 2, now you're as flat as you're going to be, your carbs are gone, but you're finally starting to eat into some of your real body fat. So in that first stage of just burning through your carbs, that's where, you know, you're going to drop like 6 pounds in a week if you jumped straight to a real calorie deficit. Like in my first week of this diet, like I dropped like 10 pounds because that was all just carbs and water I've got stored up. And then that instant drop slowed to a steady progression, and that's when I'm really starting to burn body fat. So you got to make it through this tricky part in the beginning, and then get on this slow and steady phase for long enough that you start to really see the results you're looking for. So all that's to say is, if you're thinking about dieting down, you know, you've looked up how to track your macros, you've got a basic plan. Okay, I'm gonna eat 200 grams of protein, 50 grams of fat, and 200 grams of carbs. That's my limit for the day, I'm not going over. And you've got a basic plan, then all you really have to do is just stick with it. And much easier said than done, of course, but if you can do it for long enough, then once you actually start to see yourself getting leaner, that's the motivation right there. Every time I see myself noticeably leaner by a certain degree compared to where I was a few weeks ago or months ago, that's very motivating to make me say, okay, this cardio is getting long, I wouldn't mind eating a bunch of treats right now, but I do want to see myself get leaner. I've seen myself change from the last 3 months to now. I want to see just how much further I can push it. And also, I know that, you know, within 3 months I'm going to be bulking up again. So it's not like I never get to eat treats ever. It's just, you know, kind of saving it for later. But I hope some of that came across as, you know, the process of jumping into a real dieting phase. But if it didn't, well, whoop-de-doo. Do your cardio. That'll be my last little finishing statement for you. So I think that's all I got. I've got a leg day planned for tomorrow. Nothing crazy. Hamstring curls, leg extensions, sissy squats. Just get a pump, and hopefully I start to see some new veins and striations. So I'm going to try to make tomorrow's lift a little bit earlier than tonight's. I'm getting on a bit of a like gradually later and later schedule, which is probably not good. So I'm gonna the last couple days I've kind of just been waking up when I wake up, making sure I sleep enough, but I think I got to start setting my alarm again and really jumping up. I was waking up at like 6 for a while, but that went out the window. So either way, I will see you for a freaky ass leg pump tomorrow.